Hogstye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And no, I didn't just hire Ron Rivera, just to be clear. So
If
this
you
is
were
a
Dan Snyder, you would have said Merry Thanksgiving.
what was it?
That's-
Merry
that is
Thanksgiving?
true.
Shoot.
You blew
But
it.
regardless, a legitimate happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners and to you guys.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. It's the Hogstye. It's Alex. It's Steve. It's Dave. And this is our show we're doing before Thanksgiving because we don't have to record on Thanksgiving because there's not
Thank
a game
God.
and we don't do that anymore anyway.
Yep.
But welcome to the show. Guys, I hope you have some fun Thanksgiving plans. I don't actually this year. My family, we did Thanksgiving over the weekend because my mom was going to go out of town. So
Okay.
I've been eating all my Thanksgiving leftovers early, which is actually fantastic.
I know it's your favorite holiday because you're a Mr. Foodie over here.
Yes, it is.
yeah.
It is one of my favorite holidays. So I'm a little bummed. It's just the whole family's getting old.
I
Old
think
people
the
don't want to do
best
it.
description of the difference between Alex and I, he at one point, I know because Alex, I know you sometimes do like themed Sunday meals.
Right, I do. Yep.
And I remember you like texted me or something and said I just cooked like some special bacon for an hour or like 2
I made
hours or
candied
something.
bacon that one
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my response was I just microwaved it for my kid for 54
Right.
seconds.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the difference between Alex and Steve in a nutshell right there.
Yes. So because I've been doing Thanksgiving leftovers early, we all have leftovers on Thanksgiving. I want to give you two quick, easy things to do with leftovers that are excellent because everyone does like the turkey sandwich with the leftovers, and that's great. I made Thanksgiving egg rolls where I took the turkey, the mashed potatoes, and rolled it up in an egg roll, deep fried that. Delicious. And
Nobody can see my face right now.
no one can see
I guess,
Steve is gagging.
I guess you didn't do like a center fill with the cranberry sauce, though.
I didn't have any, but you could. That would be
Oh.
fantastic.
Am I
Or
the
maybe
only
one that-
cranberry as dipping sauce.
Put
Am I
that
the
right
only
in
one
the
that
center
hates-
to roll around it right there
Yeah.
as well. You know, somebody to drop it right in the fryer right there.
Yeah.
Am I the
Oh,
only
that-
one that absolutely
that's-
hates cranberry sauce?
It has I like good cranberry sauce. I don't like the canned
Yeah.
stuff.
I wouldn't eat it now because it has sugar in it, but
Right.
I've always hated cranberry sauce. I think I'm the one.
Well, I think no, I don't. I think there's plenty of people who are not cranberry sauce fans, but most people
I-
also just get the canned crap. You know.
I'm not.
The other,
I'm not the biggest cranberry by itself guy. I still like
Mhm.
cranberry sauce. Is that when you put it with stuffing or with the turkey itself? That it's almost like a topping for what's
Right.
on my plate.
in,
So I
in
put
the
everything on my
past,
plate and then just scoop it on there and then spread it. Right.
in the past, I've like kind of made like a cranberry jam, like fresh cranberry jam to put on like cheesecakes and things like that. That's also really good. But all right, so the other thing to do with your leftovers, make yourself a Thanksgiving eggs Benedict for breakfast. So you know,
Okay,
like
what is
poach
Eggs
an
Benedict
egg.
exactly?
All right, so eggs Benedict is the traditional, biscuit.
I don't know.
or-
That's why I'm asking.
Okay, it's a biscuit or a English muffin, poached egg, a slice of usually Canadian bacon, and hollandaise sauce. That's a traditional eggs Benedict. So you swap out the ham with, well, I guess you could use ham from Thanksgiving, but I put turkey. We mixed stuffing together and kind of made little stuffing cakes instead of the English
It
muffin.
seems like a lot of work.
Well, it is, but it's delicious. You're just putting a poached egg and hollandaise sauce on top of turkey. What's
Can I get
what's-
that through like the drive-through at McDonald's?
No. Well, maybe. I don't
Kind
know.
of. Isn't like what's the McMuffin? Is the
Yeah,
McMuffin
the egg
is kind of
McMuffin.
that?
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be to skip all what Alex is saying. Just go roll through and get a egg McMuffin.
Go get an egg McMuffin and put hollandaise sauce on it.
Okay, what's hollandaise sauce though?
You don't know what? Okay.
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. I don't
It's
do
butter.
sauces.
It's like a butter sauce with lemon and I don't know what else is in it. It's like a bechamel sauce.
It's health food.
It's very healthy.
Oh, very, very healthy. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Someone with my cholesterol should eat it every day.
We are not doctors, and upon the advice of the Hogsize attorney, which is me, we encourage everybody to not follow our advice on.
Hold on. Just got to pound the chest, keep the heart beating every once in a while.
Every once in a while, I have to give legal advice to ourselves, and this is one
Right.
of those times.
But yeah, Thanksgiving, good food. Steve, you can't eat it. Well, you can eat turkey.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can eat turkey, but I, take the skin off.
Right.
I can't
White
do
meat
that.
only, I
The
assume.
white meat only. Yeah, I try
Yeah.
to. When I get it myself, I'll get it with no seasoning on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
what
keep it
side you
simple.
like to have with it?
Well, I mean, see, what I would like versus what I do now is different. So if you're asking me like when I had a regular diet, what I would
Right.
do, I liked stuffing,
Sure.
like mac and cheese. That's good. I don't know. I mean, I'm very plain. I was
Yeah.
always very
I did
plain.
not grow up in a mac and cheese family.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we are.
fresh homemade mac and cheese is one of the
No, I'm
best dishes you
talking
could ever
craft.
have.
Like you can just do craft out of the box, man. It's great.
Stop it.
Look, I love mac and cheese, and
I'm
I, I
100% dead serious.
I will incorporate mac and cheese into my own Thanksgivings now, but like family wise, that was not on our table, just
I
culturally.
always wanted to try a turducken just because that was what John Madden,
Yeah.
came up with, but I
Right.
never. I can't
Somebody on
even feed
Facebook,
myself. I can't do a
on my
turducken.
Facebook, posted the classic video of John Madden with the turducken. Do you remember it was a Monday Night Football game he was doing
It
with
was a
Al
Thanksgiving
Michaels?
Day game, is what it was. It was the Thanksgiving meal.
Or you're right, sorry, the
Yeah.
Thanksgiving game. And it's the famous one where he's given a turducken and he literally just cuts it up with his hand and starts eating it because he didn't have a knife. He's like ripping it open and just eating pieces of the turducken.
And see, wait a minute. So it's a chicken inside a duck inside a turkey. Is that what it was?
I think it's duck inside a chicken inside a turkey.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes,
All right.
because smaller to larger,
Yeah.
and then you put stuffing in between each layer, supposedly.
And another bout of health food.
Right. Right. How did John Madden not die at like 50?
I know he lived to be like,
He was in his
80 or
80s.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Rest
big
in
dude.
peace, John.
Yeah. Rest in peace,
Yeah.
John Madden, the legend. There's a documentary about him, I believe, on Netflix now, and like his influence on football, especially through the video game. But I haven't watched it yet, but I saw something about that. All right, we should talk about the football games.
Oh yeah, football. I forgot. It's not
Yes.
Thanksgiving Day meal podcast.
Yeah, well, we could talk about the Thanksgiving games that are going to come
It'd
up.
be more interesting than what happened last week.
They
Nah.
might be. By the way, it's Bears, Lions, Giants, Cowboys. That'll suck. And then Dolphins, Packers. Those are the three games. So, but we do have to talk about that loss to the Cowboys, as brutal as that was. A weird game. So boring for the first 50 minutes. So dull. And then the craziest last 10 minutes of a football game
Total
I've ever
insanity.
seen.
It's this one of these things where the stats aren't going to do this justice, so I'm going to just whip through them
But
here.
yeah, give us the stats and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, because if you guys missed this game, it was crazy. Jaden Daniels was 25 for 38, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, quarterback rating of 82.7. I believe that is about a 67% completion percentage. Yeah. Daniels was also leading rusher, 7 for 74. Jeremy McNichols, 3 for 22. Austin Eckler, 9 for 22. Brian Robinson, 5 for 13 before he got hurt. Terry McLaurin was leading receiver, 5 for 102. Noah Brown, 6 for 71. Terry obviously had the one long touchdown. We'll get to that. Zach Ertz, 6 for 38 and 1 touchdown. De'Ami Brown, 2 for 22, and it goes down from there. On defense, Bobby Wagner led the way, 8 tackles. Frankie Louvu, also 8 tackles, both 5 solo. 1 tackle for loss for both of them. Quan Martin, 6 tackles. Benjamin St-Juste and Mike Sandershill, 6. Austin Siebert, of course, 2 for 3, and he missed 2 extra points. Yeah, he was over 2 in extra points. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, Dallas, Cooper Rush, 24 for 32, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 117.6. Rico Dowdle was 19 for 86 rushing yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Zeke Elliott, how far the mighty have fallen, 3 for 6 yards. CeeDee Lamb was 10 for 67. Luke Schoonmaker, 3 for 55, goes down from there. And their leading tackle, Josh Butler, had 12 tackles. So just had to get that out there.
Yeah.
Crazy. And we're not going to do the Trustway game today, but Trust was 6 punts, 247 yards, and that's stats.
Yeah, and like you said, those stats don't really do justice to just how weird this game was. The score, because I was looking at the numbers myself. It was 8-11 left in the fourth quarter. It was 13-19 at that point.
I had stats
Yeah,
screenshotted at various times of the game, like I was doing. I deleted them by accident, so I don't have
right,
them anymore. But it was 3-3 at halftime,
right,
and like in the middle of the second quarter, Jaden Daniels was something like 2 for 7,
right. It
something
was
along
it
those
was an
lines.
awful first half.
It was.
It was one of the ugliest first halves of football, and for both teams were screwing up right and left. Uh, I think Siebert missed his first miss that was the third quarter, right? His missed field goal. Am I
Yes.
right? Okay. And the Cowboys missed multiple field goals, so like you can't really be too upset about that part. But a
There's
week,
other special teams disasters.
it was one of the weirdest special teams games I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
at one point they were talking about it on the broadcast. They're like, you've never seen this many blown field goals, extra points, and then somehow you have kick and punt returns. You had an onside kick returned for a
And we were
touchdown.
totally wrong, by the way, that Washington Smith's field goal was in the first quarter.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking he missed an extra point in the third, or
The
two
extra,
extra.
the one killer extra point was on the last drive of
Yeah.
the last
Sure,
touchdown
but there was
drive in the
also
fourth
one in
quarter.
the third.
Right.
Right.
So let's
See,
tell you what. Can we go ahead, Dave?
See, the crazy part of this game is at the minute at 5:21 left in the
Mhm.
fourth quarter, Cowboys were up 20-9 at 5:21 left. And how they scored that touchdown after they were done, I was just, I got up and I left. I left
Did you
with the
really?
wife. Yes, I did, because I was frustrated. And I was like, and all of a sudden, I hear the fans screaming and cheering, and then the song going on, the fight song, and here you get a passing touchdown to Ertz at that time.
Right.
So, and of course, now I'm thinking, while they're just sitting there, they're moving, Cowboys are playing loose, this, that, everything else, right? And the next thing you know, you get that kick return for a touchdown. I'm like, this is just ridiculous. And then it happens where the McLaurin touchdown happens, and that's where my brother-in-law's texting. I can't believe you left this game. The Redskins are about ready to tie it up. He's saying Redskins are about ready to tie it up. I'm like, you know what? It should never even get to this point. And I'm like, if they tie this game and go up into overtime, I'm gonna go freaking nuts. And they missed the extra point.
I
Yeah.
think.
And then at that point, I'm sorry, Steve, but
No, I'm.
real quick, at that point of the game, I told my wife, if I had stayed for all that and they missed that extra point, I probably would have been not only more pissed at that time, but just because I stayed to witness that, I probably would have launched myself over the rail, and then you'd be calling 911 for me at that point,
I
because it
think
was
there
just
are
absolutely a disaster.
3 things that are important out of this game. One, Jane Daniels did have some moments where
Yes.
he was very good, but he has regressed in terms of consistency. And yes, he's played, 2 great defenses in a row with Philadelphia and the Steelers, and Dallas is kind of Dallas, but he's not nearly as consistent as he was, and we can talk about why. That's one. 2, Washington's running game has totally died. I
Yep.
mean, it has gone completely into the toilet and is circling the toilet that's clogged and won't flush. It is
Right.
atrocious. And in the beginning of the year, they had, statistically, the top 2 or 3, rushing offenses in the league. What on earth has happened? That's 2. 3, Dallas's pass rush. Dallas's defensive coaching staff outcoached Washington's offensive coordinator. They intentionally designed their pass rush and their defensive schemes to take advantage of mismatches repeatedly over and over again, and Washington and all of the Washington linemen had a bunch of missed blocks. I don't care give 2 craps what PFF says.
Yeah.
The offensive line did not look good, and the coaching staff did not. So to me, on offense, those are the 3 things. And the most important is, why is Jaden Daniels? Why is he struggling in terms of consistency all of a sudden? Why?
Well, I'm going to go back to when before the season started. What was the one thing we talked about with this offense? This offense is lacking a true number 2 receiver. This offense was lacking a true top tight end. We had to rely on Ertz going into this season, and his offense lacked a home run hitter at running back. And we all talked about the fact that how this was going to affect this offense, especially Jaden Daniels as a rookie. For the first 9 games, it didn't too much. I mean, they were on fire or whatever, but our defenses have realized to this point, if we double McLaurin, take him out of the game, there's no other receiving threats to even worry about because they don't get separation. There's no windows to throw into because of no separation. The routes are rounding off. I mean, De'Ami Brown is probably the worst route runner in this entire league to begin with. And Brian Robinson Jr. is a bruising running back, period, done and over with. So, I mean, you need like 5 guys to the line to contain him at the most, maybe bring a safety up every now and then. There are no winners for Jaden Daniels. And remember, Jaden Daniels is still a rookie. And Mark Bullock does a great job every week showing what Jaden Daniels does. He still has good anticipation on his throws. He recognizes defenses. Like there was a play he picked out where he recognized quarters defense, De'Ami Brown, and the ball was out before he broke the route.
That was a great play. Right, that was what I was talking about. He had a couple of those type of
plays. So it was those plays are still there, but Jaden Daniels does not want to force the ball. He doesn't want to make that turnover. So that's creating some inconsistencies in his game because he's not going to force the ball. And we already know that, which is great because when this team gets to the point to where we have that other receiver, we have that running back, now a quarterback, he does not want to force the ball. He's going to keep the turnover limited. Now, when the offense can finally open up and we have the weapons, how good is he going to be with the anticipation he still has? And once he gets a consistency with it. But right now is not it. We're not there yet with him. This is not the team that everyone thought it was 4 or 5 weeks ago when they were like, oh, maybe they're the second best team in the NFC. They were never the second best team in the NFC.
No, and they played a bunch of really bad teams.
Yes.
With a quarterback nobody knew.
It was a fool's gold situation.
Yeah. And by the way, before Terry McLaurin, leading receiver, 5 for 102, the big touchdown at the end of the game where Austin Seibert missed the extra point, that was 86 yards. So that puts him for 4 for 16 for the rest of the game.
Right.
They totally, to your point, Dave, which I was getting at, they completely took him out of the game. And that touchdown was just a blown, mixed up coverage. He was wide open, and then he made a great, run after the catch. But they had him locked down most of the game, and that limits the offense, particularly when the running game is just total trash.
So on the Terry McLaurin thing, I think one thing, and look, Cliff Kingsbury has his system, and he is not adjusting it very well right now, it seems like. Because I mentioned this on our Twitter feed after rewatching the game, and then I noticed Grant Paulson kind of made the same point the next day on his show for a while. They got to flip McLaurin to the other side. Jaden Daniels is not he's a right-handed guy. They always want to put the best guy on the left because they think you're going to get the bigger throw motion. You can throw the ball deeper. But Jaden Daniels throws to the right. I don't know the exact number, but it's probably 60-40 that he's looking right with most of his passing. They got to put McLaurin on that side. What side did that big play come on? The right side.
Right side. Side.
Stop putting Terry all the way on the left, out on the wing all the time. That's not.
Maybe they need to mix him up. Maybe they need to throw him in the slot sometimes.
Throw him well, they absolutely do because Terry's he's got speed, but his best asset is his route running. It always has been.
So I just mean don't make it so obvious. Guy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's really easy to lock him down when he's always
when you know where he is.
Spot.
Yeah. And when 90% of the time you're just like, all right, you just go deep. Like it's a waste of Terry McLaurin's talent.
And it also doesn't help that I think the number was 82 or 84% of first downs were running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a very good way to start your fresh set of downs every time. You got to get a little more creative out of that.
Now the positive side of it was, I thought from a movement standpoint, he looked a lot better. He looked like he was basically healthy. from the rib injury. So I think that was
he was
good.
running well for the first time since then.
Yeah.
If you want a positive, I think that was it. But I was not impressed. And again, I mean, to reiterate, what on earth has happened to this run game?
Right.
I mean, seriously, what is going on with this run game?
So that might be a chicken or the egg question. Was the run game effective because Daniels was a threat and then he stops being a threat?
Probably.
So the run game gets hurt, or is it the Brian Robinson's injuries? There's multiple things that
the
have gone
answer to
wrong.
all that is yes.
Yeah.
Probably both of them.
Yes. And now Eckler's hurt.
And we'll get to the injury report later, but
Right.
Austin Eckler is in concussion protocol, as is Andrew Wiley. Both of them are. So and the team did have a roster move this week, which I deleted already.
They brought up Rodriguez.
They brought up Rodriguez. Yeah.
Seibert went to IR.
Now I have to assume they're going to sign Gonzalez, the kicker, because I want to say they've elevated him 3 times, and if they've elevated him 3 times, they can't do it again. They have to sign him. So, and they moved Austin Seibert to IR, but the fill-in was Rodriguez for that. So that means they'll need to make another move to bring Gonzalez up to the active roster.
Yeah, or we just don't kick. We just go.
They have to have a kicker. I mean, they can't not have
go
a kicker.
for it every
it's
time.
not high school football.
And Tressway can do all the kickoffs. We're okay with that.
Maybe he can do place kicks too. Who knows?
Yeah,
he'd be better than us.
Yes,
he could do the whole Kirk Cousins drop kick, right? I mean, hey,
there you go. The drop kick's still allowed, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I believe.
And by the way, they made a couple practice squad moves too, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah. But all right. So back to this game though, and it's specifically this issue with the offense. I think the running game, it's a symptom of all these things we're talking about, right? Like it's the O-line kind of getting hurt and getting exposed. It's what we're talking about with Daniels and Robinson being hurt, that slows it down. One thing we haven't talked about, I do think that switch to the left tackle to the rookie full time has hurt the run game a little. I think he's a better pass blocker than run blocker, and I think that has a small impact on it.
That might be true.
Yeah,
that could be true. But I think Cornelius Lucas has been hurt too, so I don't know. I mean, he's apparently healthier now this week, so I don't know if the team has just made the switch period and they're done, or they're going to go back to this 50-50 split. I suspect they're probably just going to let Coleman play now, but I think you're right. I mean, my fear from Coleman from the beginning wasn't that he was going to be a bust or anything. All my point in the beginning was you can't just count on a 3rd round pick who didn't play at all in the preseason just roll in and become Trent Williams.
Right.
And guess what? It's taken him a while. But I'm telling you, I mean, we learned a lot from the Dallas pass rush. Now, I don't know if Tennessee can duplicate it, but they created, like I said before, they created mismatches, and the Washington coaching staff was not smart enough to scheme around some of the formations that were causing problems.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Dallas, even though he hasn't played up to his standards, Dallas probably has the best pass rusher in at least the NFC East in Parsons. If not, he's one of the best in the league when he's healthy.
Oh, certainly. Yeah,
I mean,
certainly so.
And he's one of those guys that you put him anywhere.
Well, I think early in that game, especially the first half, I don't think it was really. It might be an unpopular opinion because I know how people feel about Cliff Kingsbury. Right now, it's that first half. I don't think it was all Cliff Kingsbury, because let's be fair to Cliff Kingsbury. Jaden Daniels was not seeing the field very well in that first half.
That's what I was saying. He
missed. Yeah, right.
He's not good.
He missed McLaurin wide open on a crosser. I mean, he came right across his face, but he went down. I believe it was a play. He went down to Noah Brown on, which he wound up dropping the pass. And it's just, and everything that was happening in front of him, he was diagnosing the defenses well all game. It just he wasn't seeing receivers coming open. He wasn't looking, he's going to be there at this route. He might come open. He's not recognizing how the safety's coming up, and now McLaurin's now wide open, coming on the backside. He wasn't seeing. Where in the beginning of the year, he was recognizing that. He was coming off of his first looks, his second looks, and he was hitting that third one because he saw that coming open.
That's what's really confused me. Is how has he regressed in it? Usually it's the rookie quarterbacks slowly develop that skill, and he's kind of lost that skill a little bit.
Well,
it's very odd.
I like to offer this because for the last, I had the numbers at one point. I think I put in one of my articles. For the last 4 weeks, the drop percentage, McLaurin has a very good catch percentage. Doesn't drop many balls. After that, the drop percentage, or catch percentage rather, it drops significantly compared to McLaurin. Even Ertz recently has been dropping some balls that he normally catches. I have a feeling that he's starting to lose some confidence in these other receivers, and when you start losing that confidence, you start kind of coming away from these certain reads that you're starting to recognize because you're not sure if he's going to make that play or not at a crucial moment of the drive. So he tries to take the easy check down. He tries to take the little dump off to a Eckler or something when he should be taking something a little bit further downfield, but he's not taking it. I'm thinking that has to be one of the things, because you can't talk about his injury anymore because he looked good and strong in that game like you guys are talking about. I just think there's confidence-wise, I think some of that's missing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is he might need a little bit of a sports psychologist to help him figure out. It could be a mental thing that is still post-injury. Like he got this injury that messes up your psyche, your first big injury in the NFL, and you got to get past that. But
sure.
I mean, I don't know about a psychologist. I think a lot of psychologists are quacks, but they need something, for sure. And I think it's also to what you mentioned last week. We're at the point now where the college season would have been over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Much more difficult. He's got to power through. So look, he's rookie. I just wanted to emphasize, though, we're talking about this not because we dislike the guy.
No,
but we have an obligation to be fair and down the middle to you. And I've seen certainly in our comments section, there's just a bunch of like Jayden Daniels can do no wrong. It's got to be Cliff Kingsbury. You are not being honest with yourself if you do not admit that Jayden Daniels has regressed over the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He has, and he's got to get it back. I think he was the runaway offensive rookie of the year winner up until about week 8 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
And since then, it's competitive. Other people have Bo Nix. Yeah.
In fact, if I could offer this to all the listeners out there, subscribe to Mark Bullock, and he'll show you offensively what Cliff Kingsbury is doing. Mm-hmm. It's not as bad as you think it is. He's done a great job. That's my plug for him.
If you read Mark's website and his blog, it's excellent. Every time.
He's got a Substack, so I mean, we encourage everybody to subscribe to it.
It's also how he makes some money. So
Yeah.
And that link for his Substack
actually
will be in my article.
What's that, Dave?
That link for his Substack is actually going to be in my article. So when you're going to click to open it, it'll take you right there.
Okay, so look for that Friday if you're sitting at home bored because you had the day off.
If you guys DM us, we'll DM you the password so you don't have to pay him. We love you, Mark.
Let's talk about the defense because let's be honest, they did not play great either. Although this loss wasn't on them, it was clearly the offense and special teams that lost this game. The defense struggling against a team that has a backup quarterback or no name. Let's be honest, a no name running back. And
Rico Dowdle is not a household name. Mr. and Mrs. Dowdle are upset.
Yeah, I don't even know if you're pronouncing it right.
I'm not sure either. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good guess. So, but yeah, the defense still, and I think that it could be similarly. This team has had a long first half of the season. The bye weeks after this game that we're coming up on. Like that, I'm sure these guys are exhausted, even though they had this little mini break here. I'm sure that wasn't enough. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the defense?
Well, that's no excuse.
No,
This is Dallas. This is a home game. It was a division game. You needed to win. You needed to show up and be peak performance. Boo hoo. You guys are paid a ton of money to show up every week motivated. So I'm not buying this bye week nonsense. They didn't play well. I never thought there was no indication that Rico Dowdle, whatever, however you pronounce his name, was
Right.
gonna really tear him up, like he did at times. It seemed like statistically CD Lamb was the entire offense,
Mm-hmm.
but it was how wrong I was because they spread the ball out,
Yeah.
they established a running game. They got worn down dramatically, I think, as the game went on. The defense did. I thought it was a really poor overall performance. And we saw we didn't see a huge amount of busted coverage, like we've seen. But I don't think they played particularly well in the secondary either.
no.
It
I
just
think
was an
that
overall bad performance.
I think probably the biggest frustrating part is that this defense forced quite a few third and longs, and almost every third and long they converted or got to a fourth and short, and they went for it on fourth. It's like it's you get them in these positions, and yet you can't finish the job. You can't drive. You can't drive that fourth down and long for a punt right there. And that was probably the most frustrating part of that game to me, defensively.
I don't think that this team on defense has anybody that scares the opposing offense rather, excuse me.
Yeah.
None of these guys have physical characteristics or performance history or statistics that would really cause an opposing defense to go, oh my God, we got to watch out for him. I'm not even saying they need to have Lawrence Taylor out there, or for Washington fans like Dexter Manley. But there's nobody that really scares people. Nobody has the game plan for anybody. Nobody that's really, maybe Frankie Louvu. Beyond that, there's nobody out there that is really scary, that is going to, terrorize an offense, for lack
You're
of
going to look at it and you're
better
going to say, all right, this
description.
Frankie Louvu guy's going to be a pain in our ass. You're going to see that Jeremy Chin can he'll have these games where he has 10 tackles. I know he didn't have a good game last week, but they have decent guys. But you're right, they don't have anyone who's
not a
scaring
single
you
person.
or
we're missing
there's no
that Jalen
keystone
Carter
player for this defense yet.
Yeah,
The
we're
guy
missing
who the
that
defense
Jalen
revolves
Carter.
around.
Yeah, or somebody, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Lattimore might be that guy if he can ever get on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
maybe
practicing this week. He's actually practicing on the field this week. So we'll see.
I saw that. Yeah, you sent that out. We'll see, but that's for another day, I guess. By the way, we can't let this discussion go without talking about special teams.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world? When is the last game? Can you guys remember a game when anybody got 2 kickoffs returned for touchdowns? I can't.
No. I think that's super rare.
And Austin Siebert really did have a terrible game. I can forgive him for missing a 51-yard field goal kick. I can forgive that. I mean, would you rather hit it? Yes, it's a low percentage attempt. The extra point was just atrocious in a crucial situation. But also the onside kick at the end of the game was not a good onside kick effort. It only went like 6 or 7 yards. It didn't bounce way up in the air at all, which slows everything down. It was low. It was short. Terrible effort. I don't know if it's because he's injured or what. And to his credit, he kind of took responsibility for it in post-game interviews and stuff. So kudos for his character. But it's worthwhile to put that guy on IR after that game.
By the way, I Googled your question. Actually, Naheem Hines in Buffalo last year had 2 kick returns for a touchdown in one.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
In one game.
I actually thought Dante Hall did for the Chiefs. I tried to find what game that was, but I was wrong on that. So
I'm going to maintain that I thought that it's very rare.
It's fairly rare.
Very, very rare.
2023, 2020, 2010 it happened. 2 in 2009, 1 in 2007, 1 in 2006, 1 in 2002. So,
happens occasionally. But
that's 7 in 20 years.
Seriously, I mean, Am I wrong in thinking it was an absolutely terrible onside kick?
Oh, it was an awful onside kick, and the bigger issue with both returns obviously was the coverage, though. Like
Yeah.
the coverage guys were not
Terrible.
playing with any sense of urgency, and
Yeah.
you know if you if you just slack like that and you let a guy fumble a kickoff and he still picks it up, does a cartoon spin mode on all of you, and gets right by the entire coverage unit.
It almost looked like a high school play where they're where they just kind of hide
Right.
for a minute and the players are too dumb to know because they're just high school kids. Like
You're
Washington
right.
quit on the play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but he hit the X button, did a spin, and got by everybody.
Exactly right. He hit the X button.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
But yeah, man, that was one of the worst special teams performances. Tressway not included. Everyone else had a bad day. This long snapper snapped that last snap low, which is why they missed the field goal. They missed multiple field goals, but
I mean,
only
they
one
really
was on
got
him.
lucky that Dallas missed 2 field goals.
Yeah, yeah, it was a bad one. Yeah, and you know how I feel about special teams. Like, it's not acceptable.
Alex is the biggest nerd anybody knows
Yep.
about special teams.
Yep, I'm the biggest nerd you guys know.
You're the biggest special teams nerd anybody knows.
I'm sure Danny Smith, the old special teams coach, is a bigger special
You got to exclude NFL coaches, okay? I'm not talking about NFL coaches.
All right, fine. Outside of coaches, fine. I'll take it. All right. Do we? I don't even know who we give game balls to.
We have to give game balls.
All right,
These
we have to give game balls. Steve, you're gonna give it to somebody on Dallas' team, I'm assuming.
How do you know I'm gonna do that?
Because you're very predictable.
I'm insulted. Okay, I'm gonna give the game ball to Terry McLaurin for getting an 86-yard touchdown.
Okay.
At the end of the game. There, how about that? And then on defense, that's a tough one. Okay. All right, Josh Butler. He's getting the game ball, defensive game ball. He had 12 tackles. There you go. Predictable. You happy?
You know what else is predictable? You
What?
you love being a contrarian. So I knew if I told you it was predictable, you would do it. Double outsmarting. All right, Dave.
All right, so I'll go Rico Dowdle from the Cowboys for. I'm just kidding.
No, that's a good pick. I thought about. I probably would have done that if Alex hadn't.
If it was any other team but the Cowboys, I might do that. But I'm not giving no Dallas Cowboy a game ball. You can forget that one. You can call me stubborn all you want or whatever. I don't care. So I would give the game ball to Jaden Daniels for his performance in my absence when I left the game. Apparently, he did very, very well when I left. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe I should stop going to the games. I don't know.
Maybe you're the curse.
Possibly.
Well, they won the first 5 that you went to.
Yes, that is true. That is true. So, and then as far as defense, that is a tough one. It is. So I guess you know what? I give it to the only lone sack we have all game with Deron Payne. Outside of this sack, he did nothing else, but he got us a sack.
That fake sack where the guy fell and he just kind of touched him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I got to go with Steve on Terry with that one.
It was a really great after catch.
It was a really great, impressive play on his part. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go with Terry there on defense. It is a real awful bunch of choices. Maybe Bobby Wagner. He had that fumble where he stripped it out of the guy's arms.
Yeah.
I'll go with that one play for Bobby. So
Josh Butler will take another game ball, man.
Okay.
If you give it to him.
Josh Butler, why? Why am I giving him one? I'm giving it.
He had 12 tackles. He had a great game. 12 tackles and a sack.
No, I'm gonna stick with Bobby Wagner, just because that was a fun. That was a fun little strip.
I like irritating people by giving Cowboys game balls.
Yes. we know, Steve. We all know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the game coming up, with the Titans. So let's talk some Titans. They're coming off a win coming into here. Their win, by the way, also kind of weird and funky like our game, where it was a lot of special teams, a lot of turnovers, and things like that gave them a win over Houston
Hey, when you're
unexpectedly.
2-8, you got to take it.
Yeah. So, but they're now 3-8, so they're coming in here. Uh, I'm a little nervous just because we've been on this losing streak now.
Yeah,
How could
that's
you not
why.
be?
But look, I mean, overall, the Titans' offense is bottom 5,
Right.
generally speaking. 202 points scored compared to 334 by Washington.
hmm
202 is ranked 28th. They've had quarterback problems.
Right.
Mason Rudolph was in for a while, and the worst quarterback ever to have been drafted, Will Levis, is now playing. Neither one of them are any good, and I'm too hard on Will Levis, I know, but I mean he's no good. Rushing, they're not good. They're middle of the pack at best. They don't really do anything on offense. They don't have one kind of star you need to be afraid of. Like Calvin Ridley's probably the biggest name amongst the skill players, I'd
hmm
say.
I think Tony Pollard's probably a big name too. At
Yeah,
running back.
okay. I mean, sure.
I
And
know he's
and
not an
Pollard,
every down back like you'd like, but
well, actually, this is where I was leading to with all of this is what I realized upon studying their numbers is Pollard's impact on the offense. He has
mm,
184 rushing attempts. That's like 7th in the NFL.
I didn't
He
realize it
actually
was that
is
high.
their he actually is their number one back. Now he's not great at it. He's only averaging 4.3 yards per attempt. But given how atrocious Washington's run defense has been, I
hmm
suspect we're going to see a ton of Tony Pollard in this game, more so than they usually use him. So that's my instantaneous thoughts.
All I know is like deja vu right now. Because almost everything you said about that Titan offense is almost exactly what you said about that Cowboy offense last week.
I was right though.
Yes, you were right. And then yet we still end up losing the game anyway.
The difference is that the Cowboys had CeeDee Lamb.
True.
That's the difference. And
That's
Dallas
true.
does not have CeeDee Lamb is the focal. They even had CeeDee Lamb running the ball out of the backfield a couple
Right.
times,
Yep.
maybe once, twice. Dallas or Tennessee does not have that,
Yeah.
and so I think they're going to be far more focused on Pollard than
True.
Dallas was on Rico.
I mean that
What's his face?
Pollard was looking good in that game they had last week, so I would definitely say focus on Pollard. That would be a priority. Like you said, Ridley's kind of like the only receiver that you'd worry about, I guess. But
Well, he's the name.
he's a name. Yeah, it's a name more than anything. What is? I'm trying. I pulled it up. He's got 600 yards. That's not bad.
Oh, he's not had a bad season. He's been
Yeah.
decent. He's had 41 receptions, 634 yards,
Yeah.
15.4 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns. Decent.
Yeah. He's a number one. He's their number one, and like that's not elite number one numbers, but it's up there.
No, I mean, if you want a comparison,
Yeah.
for the sake of comparison's sake, Terry McLaurin this year is 53 receptions, 823 yards. So he's
Right.
got a few more receptions. He's got a couple hundred more yards.
Right. But Terry's also a better deep ball or yard after catch guy. Ridley's kind of a possession guy now. That's
Right.
yeah. So it's
But-
also play style like that.
So the point
Um,
is, get ready for a lot of Tony Pollard because, I mean, yes, Will Levis is the target of a lot of my sarcasm, but I
Mhm.
don't think he's all that great a quarterback. He has gotten better from his college days when I really didn't like him, but he's still not a great quarterback. I mean, he's completing 67% of his passes, but
Right.
he's thrown a lot of interceptions. 67% is okay. He's thrown 9 interceptions. 4.4% interception rate is pretty high. His quarterback rating is only 85 because of it. But he's the best they have. Mason Rudolph is a backup.
Now, the one thing they do have is their defense has had some pretty good games here and there. I know yardage wise,
Yeah.
they're up there in terms of like being one of the better teams on
Well,
defense.
they're mediocre in terms of passing, but they're really good on run defense.
Mm,
Yeah, the opposing offenses are averaging 4 yards a carry, which is tied for 6th in
right.
the NFL. Whereas passer rating, they're middle of the pack passer rating. And so the idea that this is the game that Washington's going to get better on the run game when you've got Austin Eckler, injury report for this,
Yeah.
by the way. So pretty big names here. Austin Eckler's in concussion protocol. Andrew Wiley's in concussion protocol. So I've explained this before, but how this works is when you're in concussion protocol, you have to get cleared to practice. Then you have to wait a day and at a minimum and get cleared to play in a game. And so it's very hard to get out of concussion protocol completely to play in the next week. And Austin Eckler looked very serious at the end of that game. I don't think there's any way Austin Eckler's coming back in this week. Zach Ertz, DNP for rest. Cleveland Farrell, DNP for rest. As Dave mentioned before, Marshawn Lattimore actually practiced limited. Brian Robinson was limited, and looked like, I did check Twitter briefly today, and it looked like Brian Robinson was saying he feels halfway decent. And then Nick Allegretti, Dante Fowler, Noah Igbenogany, and Jordan McGee were limited or full practice but injured. And on the Titans side, Luke Gifford, Arden Key, Harold Landry, Roger McCree, Calvin Ridley, Jeffrey Simmons, Leroy Watson, all of them did not practice on Wednesday, but Landry and Simmons were rest. The rest of them were injuries, and those are some big names. Arden Key starting, the pass rush on the right side. Ridley, McCreary's a starter. So there's some big names there for Tennessee. They're kind of beat up.
Yeah.
That's injuries.
So I'm looking at Tennessee's box scores for the season so far. I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of the league. They have had 3 games where they held opposing offenses to under 100 passing yards. 3. And they lost all 3 of those games somehow.
How's that possible?
Right? Like the Bears, the Dolphins, and the Lions all had 64, 78, 61 yards passing in their games. That's
so where
nuts.
were most of their scores coming off of? Was it the raw running game, I would assume, then? Or special teams?
Just a lot of short fields because Will Levis is Will Levis.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's part of it. Yeah, I think he's got 10 picks or something like that. He's not had a good year.
Right.
9 picks.
9. Yeah. I'm telling you, Will Levis sucks.
Yeah, he's not great. 10 touchdowns, 9 picks. Those are like good backup third string numbers, which is his future. But yeah, I wonder.
I say those. Where are you getting those numbers?
I'm looking at
those numbers again.
I'm looking at the Tennessee box scores for Pro Football Reference. Look at the box score for the.
I see.
Bears pass defense.
I'm looking at. Yeah, okay. I'm looking at the wrong. Oh yeah, I was looking at Tennessee's passing yardage. Yeah. Sorry.
Look at the Bears, the Dolphins, and the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they lost all 3 of those games.
Yes. Somehow with less than 100 passing yards against them. People are playing like 1950s football and beating them.
Well, I mean, because simultaneously the Lions had 164 yards rushing.
Right. They had
which was the high water mark almost, other than the Packers, for the season.
Right.
Incidentally.
No, so they don't give up a lot of yards, but I think it's also a lot of short fields is part of it that people are not putting in there.
Well, we can give you total yards here if you want. So they're actually second in the NFL in total yards surrendered.
Right. But again, I think it's, if you turn the ball over a lot, people don't have to go as far. So.
Well, I can give you that too. So their scoring percentage is middle of the pack. They're 17th. They're actually almost tied with Washington. 39 and 39.2% scoring percentage, which is dead in the middle of the pack. And so, and that's, by the way, that's both touchdowns and field goals combined. But so, yes, they've given up a lot of short fields.
Yeah.
That's how you see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, just to piggyback off of all the other numbers, their passer rating, they're middle of the pack, giving up a 93% passer rating overall to opposing quarterbacks. They're number 3 in yards per play allowed and 4.8 yards per play allowed. So the defense is a good defense that they're going to be going against. But but there's going to be opportunities in the passing game, obviously, to take advantage of. And
I think it has to be in the passing game. They're not going to have a running game
No.
Brian Robinson's not going to be healthy. Austin Eckler is not going to be there. I like Chris
Right.
Rodriguez. We'll see. It's going to be tough. They're good against the run. This is going to have to be a Jaden Daniels step up and get back to what he used to be game. That's what they need.
Right.
And you can't wait till the fourth quarter to do that. Like he's got to
Correct.
come out probably firing in the first drive. Like you can't have a
I-
bunch of 3-and-outs in the first half like they did. You can't.
They have been doing in the past several
Right.
games.
That's what I'm saying.
I think this week as you go to the point of what you guys were talking about earlier, he's got to move McLaurin around more, and Kingsbury's got to find a way of getting these receivers open because they're not going to get the separation that Daniels wants to see them have for him to be comfortable to make these throws. So I mean, you got to find ways of getting these receivers down the zone. That's one thing Jay Gruden was so good at when he was a offensive coordinator and a head coach for us. It almost didn't matter who we had a receiver. There was always two receiving options open every time, and that's what he needs to do right now coming in this week.
Yeah.
Saying
Just
he
to-
couldn't draft a quarterback to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
He
another
didn't have a
story.
vote.
Yeah,
Let's be
right.
No,
fair.
he didn't. That's true.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we let's give our scores because I think we do want to hit some of the other things that happened in the league before we wrap the show up. So let's do score predictions and move on.
All right, who goes first, Alex? You decide.
I'll go first. I'll just
Okay.
volunteer. I think this is going to be an ugly, low-scoring affair. I'm going to say something like 21-17 win. I think we finally get off this losing streak, though.
For my part, I wrote in my game preview 27-13. My thought was I'm going to be optimistic for one more week on this.
Okay.
Eventually, I think this team will come somewhat back from the dead or
Mhm.
from the ill at least. And the
Right.
Tennessee is not a very good team overall. So I think I'm going to be optimistic one more week and say 27-13 Washington.
I look at the Will Levis effect in this one because I agree he's not a very good quarterback. He's gonna. I think this team's going to get another interception this week. I could see a defensive score, and I'm looking more along the lines of probably like a 30-13 type of win. I think they win this game pretty easily when they get into
So
the
you were
bye.
in my ballpark. I said
Yeah.
27. You said 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So those are our scores. All right. Let's talk about. I don't know if you guys want to talk about any of the Thanksgiving games. The one thing I think we need to talk about the NFL needs to start flexing some of these Thanksgiving games, man. Like I'm sick of seeing at least one of these traditional games. Usually it was the Lions, now it's the Cowboys, just being an awful game. Like no one should have to sit through Cowboys Giants on Thanksgiving.
Well, I suspect there's more that at work here than we realize for this scheduling event.
Mm.
Putting together the schedule is a big giant calculus problem, basically.
It is.
And they used to do it manually, and now there's a computer that kind of throws it together. But what I'm saying is, I don't think you can ask. Dallas and Detroit have volunteered for this, and it's become a tradition. But you cannot
Sure.
ask the best teams every single year to give up their holidays. And so I suspect they try to mix it up somewhat, and they will try to play off some traditional rivalry. See Washington versus Dallas. That's why there's so many Dallas versus Washington games.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can ask the Chiefs and the Bills, and the Eagles to do it every single year to make it better because it is a holiday. And I think at some point the teams would protest that. So I think they probably make an effort to kind of mix it up a little bit. That's my guess.
Right.
Well, I think part of why they added the third game was that exact reason, right? Like to at least have one more wild card game in there, get an AFC team in there because it's always been NFC East game, NFC North game, right? Like for the most part, it's usually a division game for both teams.
Yeah, and then it comes down to like really who's going to go in,
Right.
because the visiting team is sacrificing the entire holiday. Because the
Oh, sure.
Dallas and the Lions will be, their families can work around it and everything.
Right. They know what they're getting into.
But like the Bears and the Giants,
Right.
they're out.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. The other big story this week, though, that we should talk about involves the Giants. That is that Daniel Jones. I think we mentioned last week, because last week is when he got benched, right?
Yeah.
We knew that, but now he has been completely cut from the New York Giants, despite having 2 years left on a pretty big contract, which I'm sure is going to have some fun cap implications for them down the road. He has left the Giants and he signed with the Vikings of all teams, which we were talking a little bit before the show. Steve, you thought that was a weird decision on the
Yeah.
Vikings part?
Why do the Vikings want him?
Uh,
The Vikings are a Super Bowl contender. They already
Right.
have a very high quality starter. I mean, I don't disparage them for making a move or whatever, but I just find it I thought it just kind of an odd signing. Like what are you guys doing with this?
Well, I think from what my guess is they probably view him as insurance, because you say they have a quality starter, but he's been erratic at times. He was having the same problems Daniel Jones was, where
Yeah.
everyone thought he was a big reclamation
Not
project.
this year, nah, he's not though.
No, not this year, but he's had a couple iffy games. But
Nick
everyone
Mullins,
does.
Nick Mullins, and Brett Ripien. That's why you signed Daniel Jones.
You mean
Because
Brett
you're in a
Rippin?
playoff run. Huh? Brett Ripien.
Yes,
Brett
Clark
Rippin.
Rippin's nephew.
Right. And
You
then
said
Nick
Ripien.
Mullins. Yeah, right. I've always done that. But you are in not just a playoff race. You're in a position to try to win the division at the same time. Maybe even possibly getting that first round bye. You're not going to put that in the hands of a Nick Mullins. At least Daniel Jones gives you something, at least with his legs. He had put up some good games at times, and let's be honest, Kevin O'Connell knows how to talk to quarterbacks. He knows how to coach quarterbacks, and he knows how to coach to their strengths. That's what he does. I mean, he was the only coach that got Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, to go in an upward trajectory, which is why it drove a lot of us nuts that Ron Rivera did not keep him around as an OC, because there was an upward trajectory in Haskins with O'Connell. No other coach was able to do that with him. So it's just, I mean, O'Connell's like, I can do minor fixes to him, and he'll be okay when I need him in a pinch. That's all that I care.
And by the way, so the Giants are eating a $47 million cap hit for this, just for the record.
Is that spread over this year and next year, or just?
No, that's this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, it's a lot.
Because he's going to be on. They're probably going to have to take some hit next year too, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a post June 1 cut. Yeah, absolutely. They will. Yes.
So that's fun for them. I feel so bad for the New York Giants. Can you hear?
Look, yeah, your sarcasm, but so, I admired what the Giants tried to do. They stuck with the guy. They they built around him. They stuck with him a lot longer and gave him every opportunity to use that first round pick. And for a brief moment, for 5 minutes, looked like it was going to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I admire them for trying, because many teams, including Washington, have just been the worst at trying to develop quarterbacks, and they did their absolute best at it. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't going to work. But I admire the effort.
Right.
I do, but I also think that they made a lot of mistakes in that process. They tried to build around him, but they, for the most part, hadn't had a good receiver until this draft.
True.
They hadn't had a bad
offensive line. Yes.
Yeah. But
yep, you're right.
Yeah, and we also, we all know O-line play depends on the quarterback a lot more than people realize at times. A guy who holds the ball way too long like Daniel Jones is going to make an O-line look bad.
Wait a minute.
So discovered something. Hold on.
The Vikings signed him to the practice squad.
He's not even on the active squad right now?
He's on the practice squad. Wow. I was sitting here trying to find his contract date, and I couldn't find it, and I realized
I saw he signed for something like $390,000.
That's because that's a That's the total year practice squad amount.
Mm,
He's on the practice squad. That was why I was so confused.
that's wild.
Yeah.
That
So the Giants could turn around and sign him off their practice squad and only pay him $390,000 the rest of the year.
Yes, they could do that. I mean, I think Daniel Jones would probably choose to stay with Minnesota rather than doing that.
Right. Oh man.
yeah, I could in theory see if somebody's quarterback went down, if he's on a practice squad, he might be like, I'll
Well,
go.
see, I totally changed my opinion now. Now I get it. Because again, I couldn't understand. Like you've
Right.
got Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, even Brett Rippon's had his moments here and there. Like, what are you guys doing? But to having a guy like that in the practice squad, heck yes, absolutely.
Sure.
It also shows that nobody else believed in him.
Right.
That's what it shows. Not a single team wanted to have him on their active roster.
Well, I think there's probably just too much controversy with signing a former big name starter like that who's just been totally outcast like this. Like who would you really want to bring that in?
Well, he
right
wasn't
now?
an attitude problem though.
No. But
It
I
wasn't
think it's
like who's that stupid guy? Colin what's
yeah.
his face?
Kaepernick.
Thank you. A huge, massive attitude problem. That wasn't Daniel Jones.
No,
Yeah,
I
he's a
but
big
I think
name,
it's a
but
PR problem because you already have quarterbacks like in your quarterback room.
I thought
If
he
you
was a
bring in
perfect
a
fit for the
first round
Raiders.
pick who's just been cut mid-season, like I think you upset a lot of people.
maybe. And yeah, the Raiders, they could probably use him.
The
But
Raiders
so
are a
this
train
makes
wreck.
this makes much more sense. So now he's on the Vikings practice squad. I'm glad I looked.
Yeah, I could see the Raiders maybe, like you said, because they're just a dumpster fire, so it doesn't matter. But there's not a lot of teams that need a good quarterback right now, which is
I mean,
rare
we're in
for
week
some.
13.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah. Best
Yeah.
of luck to them, but best of luck to them unless we somehow see them in the playoffs. I'll say that.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
And they'll bring him up to the practice squad just to start against us and get Darnold a rest because they know Daniel Jones will beat us anyway.
Right, because he always is so good against Washington.
By the
Yes.
way, so if we want a playoff update, we haven't done this all year.
All right.
So the division leaders, the Eagles, the Lions, Atlanta Falcons, Seattle.
Right.
The leading wild card contender is the Vikings at 9-2, followed by the Packers at 8-3, and then the third and final wild card position currently is Washington at 7-5. However, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. If you're a Washington fan, you want to root for a team to lose, root for the Cardinals to lose, because the Cardinals are 6-5, and so if Washington takes a poop, ends up 7-6, and then the Cardinals win, then the Cardinals are all of a sudden in the lead for the wild card position. And then there's a couple other 5 and 6 teams. So for right now, you got to watch out for the Cardinals. And let's see who the Cardinals playing this week.
They play the Vikings this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
Or
okay.
I'm sorry, not.
It is the Vikings.
Okay.
It's Vikings.
Yeah.
So if you're a Washington fan, root for Minnesota to take care of business against the Cardinals.
Yep. I think that will be everyone's plan.
And since we're doing it, and the AFC, it's the division leaders: Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, Kansas City, and then the wild card teams: Baltimore, the Chargers, and then the Denver Broncos. There you go.
Yeah. It's always interesting. You always see that one division that gets all the wild card teams. It seems like each year now.
Well, this year it's the NFC North.
North, and then AFC West. As you were just kind of
true. Yeah, both of them.
And the Broncos are a team that no one is going to want to face in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're playing good right now. They are.
Yeah.
All right, I think that kind of wraps up the show, guys. I think we're done.
Merry Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Stuff your faces. Eat way too much dessert. That's my advice. And then pass out on your couch watching the Packers Dolphins game.
Or you can follow my health food diet.
Or follow Steve's diet and just not enjoy life.
Nah, I'm on board with you, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Multiple types of pie. That's the key. Multiple types of pie.
Just go for ice cream.
All right, ice cream's
Pie's not-
delicious too.
Yeah, I've never
Oh.
liked pie.
Actually, I
You-
have ice cream cake over here too as well, so I might even throw that in the old mix.
There you go. An ice cream cake.
Just remember,
Yes.
kids,
Nice.
in my world, food is just sustenance. That's it.
Right. And Steve did lose like 30, 40 pounds.
Not
like,
40. It's about 30.
About 30, which is still very impressive.
Yeah.
So, unlike me, who has gained 30 pounds doing the show, Steve lost 30 pounds. The show's weight stayed the same.
The overall, it did. Yeah.
All right, that should do it for us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Take it easy.